Dun Shows World.
Welcome to Shows World Gamers. Josh here, and as this week draws to a close, I wanted to take a moment to look at this week's biggest news stories, gaming announcements, and this week's new video game releases. If this is your first time on the channel, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button to join in on the fun. Alright gamers, let's kick off this week in review with this week's news stories. Now this week being Thanksgiving week, much of the big news kind of revolved around games and console sales, as all major retailers are offering discounts on tons of great games, even recent releases. This is a great time to pick up any games you may have missed out on at some great prices. Also, if you're looking for a new console, there are some bundles available with free add-on games and even some markdown prices that we don't usually see on consoles. So this week is definitely the time to take advantage of those sales. Next up, we did get more info about The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, which is officially coming to the PlayStation 5 on January 19th. Those who already have the PS4 version of the game can upgrade to the PS5 version for $10. And they're adding an additional roguelike mode to the game called No Return. If you have yet to experience this game, I highly recommend playing it, although I do warn it is a mature rated game. The story is absolutely phenomenal. It's one of the best stories of any video game franchise, but you should definitely play through the first game first if you have not played that yet.
Somehow the Lord gave me a second chance.
Next up, let's take a look at some gaming announcements. Now, Vellum received an announcement trailer this week. The game is a co-op roguelike set in a world of magic. The multiplayer game sounds like it is going to lean heavily on the ability to use a lot of different strategic builds. Not just for the scribe, but you're actually going to be controlling the builds of the enemies you're facing. The game looks like it still needs some work before it's released next year, but it sounds interesting, so I'm going to keep my eye on this title. Arcane Age. It is a VR action adventure game set in the Biochasm, a terraformed fantasy world created by the Grand Arborist. You will engage in physics-based combat using Arcanite-infused swords and guns, and freely explore the densely filled environments under siege by Hyperion's neural corruption when the game releases next year on the PlayStation VR 2 as well as Steam VR for PC. Now, we also got the announcement that Jet Force Gemini is coming to the Nintendo Switch Online service for subscribers to the Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack in the Nintendo 64 section. Now, this game is a third-person shooter developed by Rare for the Nintendo 64 back in 1999, and it is coming to NSO this December. And I remember playing this game and having a lot of fun with it, so I'm looking forward to jumping back in. It's been a while, kind of wondering how it's going to play after all this time. I remember the controls being kind of a little goofy, but we'll see. I definitely think you should check it out. I had a lot of fun with it back in the day, and I'm definitely going to be jumping back in. Alright, let's finish up with this week's new video game releases. Now, it is a pretty light week as it being a holiday week, but we did get a few releases, and we're going to start with Jurassic Park Classic Collection. It released this week on the Nintendo Switch, the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 5, the PC, Xbox One, and Xbox Series systems. And this is just an awesome collection containing a whopping 7 classic games from the Game Boy, the Nintendo Entertainment System, the Super Nintendo, as well as Sega Genesis, with new features to the games, including save states for each game, new in-game maps, and various other quality of life fixes that bring these titles into the modern era of gaming. Also, Alina of the Arena released this week on the Nintendo Switch, the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 5, the PC, Xbox One, and Xbox Series systems. The game is a roguelike deck-building tactics game. You will be leading a team of adventurers crawling through the sinister dungeons as you combine relics and skills to build up your team as you battle in turn-based combat. Alright gamers, that concludes this kind of light week in review for the week ending on November 24th. The week started with Larian Studios announcing this awesome physical release for the deluxe edition of Baldur's Gate 3, coming next year for the PC, the PlayStation 5, and Xbox at the extremely reasonable price of just $79.99. And the week ended with a ton of great sales taking place on some of this year's best games, as today is Black Friday, the biggest shopping day of the year, and the best day to pad those back catalogs with even more games. But let me know anything we may have missed in the comments, and thanks for joining us today, gamers. Chodes World, out.